What's up, guys? Jason Euler here, back again for another episode of The Launchpad. I'm the co-founder here of Lvnding, and today I have a very special guest who I'm excited to bring on and share some of his experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, Cody Harvey. Cody, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, Jason. How you doing? How's Arizona?
It's hot. It's really hot right now, so we're making do and just burning our way through the pandemic right now.
Yeah, it's hot here too in LA. It's already 85 degrees.
Oh yeah, you're really struggling. I think it's 110 here already.
Oh yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, Cody Harvey is the director of EDMcom, the CMO of BaseCamp, digital marketing strategist. Also can juggle standing on one hand and throw knives and swords and fire. What don't you do in the dance music world?
Well, you forgot that I can juggle blindfolded. So that's the biggest part. So digital marketing consultant, work with festivals, products, musicians, media outlets. That's pretty much what I do. Campaign releases.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, digital marketing is the wave. Once you know what to do, you kind of just set it and optimize, and it's very quick, and you get a huge return. So
yeah, and you've really been able to stretch your hands into a lot of different projects. And I mean, it was just bound that our paths were going to cross working around the music industry at some point with everything you have a hand in. For those people that kind of want to work in the music industry, like how old were you and where did you start? I think people have the hardest time figuring out where to start.
So my entry into music was interesting because I actually started out in real estate as like a digital marketer for a few brokerages, 17 branches. And I met a friend who asked me to come and work on their website, which was 1EDM. And then through 1EDM, just meeting people, I just kind of transitioned. I've done things from photography to SEO, social media strategy, even things such as just using an email list to get more traffic to your site, just to guarantee the reach of your articles. Mm-hmm. On the dance music side of things, I also worked for a record label called Hopeless. It was a little emo label.
Love it.
And yeah, so I did digital marketing there, and then, met some certain people, and they wanted me to come work on the dance music site. And it was just working with friends after that.
Out of all those early experiences, which opportunity really kind of made the light bulb for you click and say, wow, I could really continue to pursue this? Or who was it that you met that kind of encouraged you to really push you along?
So it was probably going to be honestly in real estate, because that's where it was just learn a skill set that's very broad that can go everywhere. And then it was also probably the work ethic that I learned there, because it's not a 9 to 5. You're your own boss. You do your own hours type of thing. And it's really results driven. Like if you don't sell, no one eats. So that's probably the biggest thing. And I think that's what really swapped my mentality to like what's the Dimmock slogan? By any means necessary. Like you just have to know what you're doing and get it done. So
figuring it out.
Yeah. And then, a few campaigns with certain people really kind of like made me realize like, hey, a lot of these things can go into music. Gareth Emery's campaign. I've worked with a few other people previously, a few labels here and there, just very startup projects. So
yeah. And have you found yourself really kind of enjoying those more startup projects where you really get to build something, or are you liking to kind of jump on the already built projects and say, hey, how can we scale this even further? What's kind of been more fun for you?
I think that's a twofold question. Like the startups are probably more fun and pride of ownership, because you look at it and you're just like, hey, I was at the ground zero, and now all of a sudden it's something, and this is my touch on it.
Mm-hmm. You can really see your piece in the painting that you helped create.
Yeah, but the bigger projects are also very rewarding in the sense of it's, oh, hey, I just did a campaign with I just did Boombox Cartel, and then it's like I had this huge budget, I got these results, and you normally don't get that on the startup side.
Yeah, the budgets are a little different on the startup side. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and there's certain things that you like that just don't get noticed from smaller artists. So, like one of the things I do for a lot of people is I do a Twitter DM automation, to where, hey, my track just came out, go pre-save it.
Yeah.
And like smaller artists, when you're only sending it to 3,000, media outlets don't really notice it. But if you search for like very specific artist names in like Twitter DM, you'll see 50 articles of things that I've done where it's just me reaching out to fans, automating it, and people thinking it's said artist, but it's really just me running a robot.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good. It's getting that message directly to the person who's going to be consuming and ultimately making that decision that's going to make whatever you're working on popular.
Yeah, and it's also just the method of it too. Twitter, you only have about 5 minutes of being on the navigation. So getting the DM where you're just there in the little red one in the corner, like people open it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't get it past it. What are some spots kind of early in that come up where you hit like a wall and you're like, okay, how am I going to get around this? Or what were some difficulties you had early on to really get yourself to an established position in the music world?
So it would probably be like right at the start was like when I started my own company, Frenzy Factory. All of my clients were e-commerce or real estate based at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So really kind of just getting like my knowledge and stuff out there was like hard. My break really came when I had a label that wanted to sell more merch. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, yeah, like I can help you do that. I already sell merch. As for like logistically or execution wise, it was really the same as what I've always been doing, but really just realizing like, hey, I have to take a discount because nobody in this world knows me. Like you have to prove yourself in this
world. You got
to
go prove your value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I had to work for free or just next to nothing just to get my name in the conversation. So an opportunity would open up for me later on down the road. But those relationships you build, they stay with you and they create just opportunities down the road. And that's something I've really admired about you and just watch what you've done. Like every person I've worked with around the dance music world in some capacity has worked with you at some capacity or another. What's been kind of what's the biggest tip you could give someone just for networking yourself and focusing on meeting the right people?
Probably the biggest thing is going to be your attitude. Like you don't want to go in there and not be confident and cautious of things. Like go in there, be proud of yourself, what you're doing, where you're at. And, like the way to get my attention and like work with me and like all those things is let's just go do really awesome things together. Like, let's go make headlines instead of just doing the basic, hey, I want an article type of thing. And here's an EPK. Like, let's go do a live stream.
Yeah.
So
speaking on those headlines, like what's one of the biggest headlines you've kind of helped push out just in your time?
Oh God. Are you talking about like one that I've written or one that I've helped create?
I let's hear both. I'd like to hear both sides of that.
Probably the biggest one I've helped create recently was Label Wars with Andrew Sierra and Karush Mahak.
That one's been fun to follow. I've been seeing that.
It might be coming back. We're talking about doing season 2 with Fall Guys.
I like it.
So, but that was a fun one. We had Jaws, Steve Aoki, Riot 10, Wooly, the guys from Zed's Dead. We had a ton of people.
Our reach there, yeah.
Yeah, and then we had 20 of the biggest gamers in the world. Like, probably the coolest thing I've ever done.
It's so cool to see that crossover between dance music and video games right now. I know like one Gold Rush last year, or that was supposed to happen this year. I was actually working on having an esports arena inside the festival, just because so many artists are playing that. But that's cool. You guys saw that crossover and went and attacked it in a unique way.
Yeah, at EDM.com, we've been kind of doing it for a while. We did something with Crank That where you got to play Mario Kart with him.
Yeah.
At Exchange in LA. That was a really fun one to see. The winner was stoked. They had a good time. They played for like 45 minutes. And like gaming and music, not even just EDM. The Weeknd has a Madden themed tour bus, right? So yeah, just musicians are young, gaming's hot. You can get your music in a video game and get a ton of streams.
Yeah, and gaming's bigger than ever. And just seeing that that crossover between Twitch now and the gaming world, and how many musicians have had to leverage Twitch during this pandemic, it's crazy. So what do you see as the future for artists and people in the dance music world on these streaming platforms and with these opportunities given the current state of our world?
So a larger artist, I think you're going to run into things like DMCA claims on live content at Twitch. That's the big one, is how do you get revenue from that? For a smaller artist, and even at BaseCamp, like my strategy at BaseCamp, I'll just give to everyone right now. It's super easy. Let me get my catalog to 50 songs, and then I'm going to whitelist it for Twitch. All of my songs for free.
That way they can get the plays and people are going to hear the music.
Yeah. Like treat it like radio. You need it in rotation for familiarity. So just get it out in front of the people.
I love it. So talking a little further on BaseCamp, what's kind of your day-to-day role look like as the CMO of BaseCamp? What are some things you guys are doing to really push that label off the ground right
So right now we're on our 5th release. I have about 5 coming out and a 10-track EP in the next 30 days, or 10-track compilation in the next 30 days.
Okay.
Our first couple of releases really had no following, all less than 1,000 monthly listeners. They're all around 30 to 40,000 right now, 100,000 streams on every track at least.
Wow.
So I'm trying to move up into like the next tier of artists. So let's say 80,000 to 150,000 monthly. I can get to a 250,000 streams. It's just the budget. Now I need to have a release radar to set off. So
of course.
We're trying to do that, as well as let's give out some more free tips.
Hey, that's what we're here. We're here to empower, give advice, and talk about the things that have helped us get where we're at and help others.
Yeah, I recently had a very long conversation with an action sports manager who manages 25 professional skateboarders. He does the videos for like GoPro, Rockstar, Red Bull. And I just cleared my catalog for him to use in his content.
Smart man. So it's really getting those strategic partnerships lined up to where you're going to put the people working with you in positions to be successful. Yeah,
that, and it's also too, like, I think the downside to a larger label is that the culture is really different, that they only care about the larger artists. The smarter ones get shelved, they move on. Doesn't really have a family value. Smaller labels, you tend to have that family value, but they normally can't give away things like, the whitelisting music for something that's going to get 4 million streams. They want the revenue.
Yeah.
So for us, it's leveraging assets and creating other ways to monetize. So part of us
thinking of the traditional ways of monetization.
Yeah. So if I can find the right 26 artists to release over the next year, do 2 tracks a year with all of them at least. And I can build some sort of culture to where I can sell a t-shirt here or there. I can also get them bookings through the festival side of BaseCamp, either at the club shows or the actual fest.
Yeah.
And make an actual like family values label.
That's cool. And that's what it really ultimately comes down to, is building that community. And you guys are hitting the nail on the head. You're focusing on giving value to others instead of thinking, hey, what's in it for us? What's on our side? Where are we going to pull the money? And just understanding, hey, if we just do the right thing, we create the right values, that's going to be a byproduct through the other ways we're going to discover how to bring revenue in.
Yeah. You see guys like Surf Mesa, right? Powell, massive TikTok following, came out with I Love You, was absolutely huge.
Blew up.
Yeah. And he had the support of a large label, but he already had large social channels.
Yeah.
And now he's over at Shalazi's group, and like very family values team, and they're just going to blow him up by using resources where they trade a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Mo has always been at the forefront of just progressing and thinking outside the box. It's crazy to see some of the campaigns they've run with their acts over there. I get this a lot from artists, and I do a lot of mentoring and whatnot. And everything is, how do I get my music signed by a label? So from someone working on the back end of it, what's a piece of advice you could give to an artist who has never had anything signed, but hey, maybe they're sitting on some quality tunes? What piece of advice could you give them to help them jump that bridge to start getting their music signed by labels?
I think the big thing you have to do is do the research on the label. Like you can kind of tell like what sound that they're pushing right now, and you probably don't want to send the sound that they're pushing right now. They're going to want 30 days to distribute, so you have to be a little bit ahead of them.
So you got to kind of pick and choose and get that foresight.
Yeah, you have to have that foresight, and you also have to make sure too that it's something that you want out there. You don't want to end up having to sell your catalog. Sorry, this guy is.
No one wants that.
Nope. So he's just down here biting my toes. So
I was gonna say, who do we have joining us right now?
Yeah, this is Axton. Hey.
Oh.
Hey.
A little too much coffee.
Nope. A little too much coffee. So, yeah, he's just a little moody right now. Yeah, I think it's finding the right label for your sound. If you're looking to do a one-off, it matters less, I guess, where you go. But even then, my recommendation is look at some of the more unique players. Look at the YouTube channels. Like those, some of them get massive streams. Trap City's at 14 million subscribers. Proximity's at, I think, 8 or 9. And
Proximity's killing it right now, especially with everything they've been pushing this year.
Yeah, and it's free to the user, so a lot of people go to it. It's the second biggest website in the world. Why wouldn't you try to take a shot at that versus something like the SoundCloud? SoundCloud you still have to repost, and they use SD Planner, so it posts for 48 hours and then it's gone.
Yeah, and SoundCloud very much, it's a necessary evil still in the dance music world, but it is very much of a dying platform. But at the same time, I just hear so many artists like, yeah, I've discovered so many people through SoundCloud still. So it's kind of a weird beast. What are your thoughts on that platform and where it's going?
I don't think it's necessarily dying as much as we want to think that it is.
Hmm.
I think them launching their distribution software is very smart.
Yeah, they're doing
Um,
what they can to make strategic moves.
yeah. It's also like, I don't know anyone that uses Mixcloud, for instance. It's the place
Yeah,
to, SoundCloud's the place to go for live sets. Something I've been dying to see in the EDM world that you don't really see here is I would love to see a return to mixtapes.
yeah.
You
Something
know,
something you might start pushing along in one of your projects, or something you'll probably just take on, right?
hey, I'm talking to a couple artists to do it, to be honest. But yeah, do a mixtape, bootleg 10 of the hottest tracks right now, and just ride the search wave. They'll get
Yeah,
discovered. So
God, that's smart little strategy out there. Young artists, pay attention. Kind of moving over from BaseCamp and all the incredible stuff you're doing there. You're the director at EDM.com right now.
mhm.
How did that come to fruition? What did you do to get to that position?
I was best friends with one of the owners, and then he left and recommended me.
Yeah, funny
um,
how that way. Yeah, easy enough, kids. Just become best friends with the people who own stuff, and not. No, but it was the years and years of just hard work and really putting your head down. I'm sure that obviously led to that recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, just even the whole nature of how we met. He wanted to do some just some optimizations on the site and things that we're still kind of working on right now.
Mhm.
So I can't disclose all of them, but
Of course.
we have some new features going on. Like we have an automated chat bot that sends like daily updates and things like that, as
So
well
just
as the
being
site.
better at responding to your audience more consistently and engaging with them.
Yeah, making sure that they see it. They're following us for dance music news, so like let's be sure that they get it. SEO works and social growth. We grew, I want to say, 250,000 followers in my first 45 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Um, so he wanted to do those things, and then he replaced someone with me.
Yeah,
And then it was just really performing and then doing sales and advanced partnerships. We just did that Ultra by Pioneer live stream, which,
I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, so it's really just doing that. And, Ultra and Pioneer still call me all the time. It's just like, hey, I want to do cool things, and like, let's work together.
And you just
Like,
keep those relationships. And again, it just goes back to, like I said earlier, I've just admired the amount of networking and relationships you've been able to build. And it truly is a testament to why you're involved in so many different things, is because you've simply just focused on building relationships with the right people in the right places.
yeah. Yeah. I think that's also a big thing too that younger people can learn is spending your time on the right relationships.
Hmm.
That involves a little bit of age and foresight to realize like what's actually good for you or what's a good move, and should you
Yeah,
invest time or move on. So
absolutely. And just being super conscious of that time. Time management is choice management. And, who we're making those choices with is so important.
yeah, and
Um,
if you move on, be pleasant. Like I've left projects on like very good terms, and one actually just referred me to. I can't say the label because the contract's not signed yet, but
mhm.
they have a few very large artists that I'm really excited to work with.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, so it's always leave people with a smile on their face. Definitely the way to go.
Absolutely, it can be memorable, and if you're easy to work with, you're twice as lucky to get that opportunity to work with someone again. Especially just doing good business, it goes such a long way, and it's a really basic human thing. But so many people overlook it in the music world sometimes, just because they're trying to get the result instead of building the long-term connection that's going to ultimately yield the biggest result. But humans, we go for instant gratification instead of the long-term play more times than not.
Yeah, also too, it's just that network. If being able to tap into that network whenever you need, for
Mhm.
whether it's a favor for a project that you're working on, or you're thinking about advancing, and you need to, leave one company to the next one to get somewhere, or it's time's just up, you're bored. Having that network's powerful.
Absolutely, and especially in a pandemic, when you hit that and the network breaks or something doesn't go your way, hey, you have other people you can reach out to and be able to reinvent yourself and reconnect and try new things. That's
Mhm.
that's so it's so important. What have been some of the fun things that you've really enjoyed doing this year with EDM.com? I know the pandemic threw a wrench in everyone's plan. What are some of the projects you've worked with on EDM.com this year that you've enjoyed?
Well, friendship, where we met.
Yeah, that was a good time.
that was a really good time. 3 days in the Bahamas on a cruise ship. And,
who knew that was gonna? That was I went and saw Rufus for one night. But other than that, like my last like festival experience, I think was Friendship, and I just how naive we all were to realize that was the last time we were going to get to really do something like that. And then I knew it was coming, but it was just so heartbreaking to read the post the other day about 2021 being canceled and whatnot.
Yeah, that was rough. And I was like so blown away by Dial-A DJ. Like that is the coolest thing. I had
those Renegade, the Dial-A DJ and the Renegade parties. Like that's the culture of Friendship though. And I think one of my favorite moments, we were in the library and all of a sudden they just run in with these DJ decks. They put up some velvet ropes and then they just turned it into a VIP section and started handing wristbands. There was a line to get into this little library party. We were all blowing bubbles in there dancing. It was a blast.
I followed Chris Lorenzo and Destructo, and we went into someone's suite, and it was packed shoulder to shoulder. That place had to be destroyed by the time everyone left. And then I saw Grizz on another one and did the same thing with Grizz. Like, Friendship people party.
Minus, I love how they block off the 4-hour disco nap when the one time it's actually okay to sleep on the boat. Other than that, you're just going.
Yeah. The other fun experience I had too was I think it was actually at the last concert in the US because they were canceling everything up until then. But I was at Post Malone at the Pepsi Center.
Oh wow!
And then the next morning there were no live events, and they were starting to threaten to shut down airports. So I had to like leave the festival or leave the concert.
How do I get home?
Yeah, catnap for like 3 hours and run straight to the airport before they shut everything down. And then I wake up the next morning and Post Malone has COVID. So there's like a 2-week COVID scare.
Yeah, that was wild. I was actually getting on a plane, getting ready to go to Art of the Wild in Vegas for the weekend. And I'm like, do I get on my flight? Do I not get on my flight? And then sure as hell, I got an email later, like we canceled the whole weekend. Vegas is shutting down. Wild times in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other perks too. Like normally I'm traveling a ton, as you know. But like these little staycations in LA, I live about 30 minutes from Malibu, but I just went and got a place on the beach just to relax and get away and recharge.
I'm coming out there at the end of September. We're going to be doing a live stream from an Airbnb out there with some of my acts I manage. So I'll be letting you know when that comes along. But yeah, those things, those are good for the sanity, I'm sure. It's good to have that, you're not far from home, but you can take a little break and come back and get on your projects. You're working with a lot of acts right now, and I mean, you're getting your hands on so many different genres and whatnot. Just as far as a fan of music, and maybe it's some of the people you're working with, maybe it's just some artists you're not working with. What artists are you excited about right now? Who are you following that you're like, damn, they're starting to make some waves, or you think could really be a player down the road here?
Let's start with the smaller side. So on the smaller side, I have this kid named Esper signed to BaseCamp. I have a 5-track EP, put out one. The next 2 singles come out in 60 days, and the EP's on day 75.
Okay, so you guys are really bought into this guy.
Yeah. He's also a really good friend of mine. He's from the Prodigy artist team. He's a studio manager over there.
Okay.
But just great hybrid trap, like real festival heavy stuff. From France, was DJing in clubs at 11 years old.
Oh, wow. So he had an early start.
Yeah. And it just incredible music. Other artists that I'm really stoked on, I like Away a lot.
Okay.
I think he's actually releasing a few songs. He's a good friend. Eliminate's sonically one of the better artists I've heard recently. Larger side, I think Zoo's just going to keep blowing up.
He's so great.
Yeah. Sudden Death also. I really actually liked his Utah song a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Whipped Cream's album. Whipped Cream had a really great album. So
Prodigy is doing that management group over there is doing an awesome job with her and really putting her on. I mean, even pre-COVID, I think the last year, just watching some of the gigs she was getting, the music she was putting out was just really just a huge upswing on that project. Yeah,
right at the very start of it, I actually reached out. She played a BaseCamp show. I met her. She's a really good friend, got her phone number. And I was just like, hey, like, do you want to live stream with EDM.com? She was our biggest live stream. She had the absolutely ridiculous draw. And it was just her for an hour from her kitchen, I think, her dining room.
I remember we booked her for support for like a Tucson Trap Fest or a dub show that we hosted down there at Relentless Beats. at some point. And she was like still one of the small underwriting bills. And she came out and like everyone who left that show was just so high on her set. And she kind of stole the show from the headliners even at that event.
She's a rock star on stage. Just her whole persona and energy, the way she moves, she's definitely onto something. So excited to see where she goes. Trying to think of someone else for you that's like smaller. Icepick. I'm a big Icepick fan.
Ice Cake, okay.
Icepick.
Icepick, got it.
Yeah. So they're an interesting story. Producer duo from Russia, Russian trap, and they're not allowed back into Russia by the Kremlin. They're stuck in China. They have 10 million streams on every song, and it's just brutal.
I mean, Russia just got Spotify this year. Like, they just got Spotify this year. We started targeting ads for all our artists over there right when that hit.
Yeah, that's if we're talking about like targeting ads, here's another good tip for artists too, is there's really two parts to your campaign, and people tend to forget about it, but like that pre-save part and getting those early saves is very critical, and you want to try to aim for about
that's that initial jump start that's going to get that traction. That's that spark.
Yeah, and then it's the first 2 weeks after, you want to run campaigns for streams. That'll help you with editorial playlist, algorithmic playlist. So
yeah. And that's just what you've become so good at, is just building these really comprehensive campaigns where you're looking into so many different avenues of how can we get this in front of people. And I mean, it just truly is a testament to the digital marketing skills you've just gained from being a Swiss Army knife over the years. It's really incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
So kind of turning back to Cody Harvey, what's your ultimate goal in all this? Where do you want to get your career to? What are you hoping you're doing in the next 5-10 years in business, music, whatever it may be?
I unfortunately, like, the business side of me always wants to have like a 5-year exit. So I'll probably be out of what I'm doing in 5 years. But I think as for right now, I don't really know what's next. Not really putting too much thought into it. I'm enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
My main focus has been like, what do I do to be like happier now? Because like I have the things I need. I have friends. I get to do things like this. I get to travel. I make enough money to live on.
All from music, isn't it incredible?
Yeah, right. And it's just all from really. It all happened because I just told myself, hey, I'm going to take it was about 2.5 years to really just work on myself, and just push everything else to the side, be a little selfish and say, this is for my future.
But when you're selfish for yourself and you ultimately level yourself up, the amount of people you're able to help and give value to is so much more substantial compared to being empty within yourself. And I mean, that was one of the coolest answers I've heard on that question. Because, I asked that a lot in my interviews, and people are like, oh, I hope I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And to have someone to step back and say, you know what, I'm going to enjoy the journey of today. I'm going to enjoy the process, the beauty of becoming. And if I focus on those things, tomorrow's going to handle itself.
Yeah. The other thing too, is like, if you focus on that long-term goal and like, you're not doing like massive jumps, you're just kind of like setting yourself for a little depression, because you're like, why am I not here yet? Why are things not working?
Yeah.
Get those baby steps, couple hours, couple days at a time, and just enjoy it. Be happy. You'll attract what you need.
And it's so true. I mean, it's like the process of a toddler walking. You got to roll over, you got to crawl, you got to stand up, then you take those steps. And like, that process of learning to walk doesn't happen unless you go step 1, 2, 3, 4. And especially in the music world, I see so many just young artists and people wanting to work in it. They're like, oh, I started at step 1. I need to be at step 7 by tomorrow. And it just never works like that. Yeah.
People think like me at EDMcom was, or even anyone else that worked with any of the labels, they're just like, was it overnight? And it's like, no, I'm 31. I've been in marketing now for 13 years.
I've had to pay my dues and put my time in and really, work your way through it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing too that helps a lot of people that they don't do is there's a difference between buying, like, I'll make it for a producer, between buying a plugin versus like classes to invest in yourself to learn how to use your software better.
Yeah, how to get better at it. How do you enhance the overall, not the instant thing that's going to make you better for that day, but it's going to make you better over the long run.
Yeah. So in that, money is a scarce resource, but you got to invest money into yourself.
It is. And that was one of the hardest things. Some of my smaller artists and younger guys I've been building, I'm like, you got great tunes, but you have to invest and take that risk in yourself. And another big thing I just tell artists and everything, like, you have to put your back up against the wall sometimes and feel that kind of pressure in order to innovate and create opportunity. I'm sure you've had times where you've really kind of forced your back up against the wall by taking on a lot, taking some risks. But without you putting yourself in those positions, you probably don't hit the level of success that you have without that.
Yeah, no, I think the other thing too that really kind of like helped catapult me and some other artists was not comparing myself to the bigger guys or trying to necessarily replicate what they do to a
You're on your own journey.
Yeah, so I see a lot of artists who they're like, oh, I'm going to release this track and I'm going to get like 1 million streams in a week. It's
Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. You're not Marshmallow.
Yeah.
So rather than doing that, like, why not use ToneDen, give a free download and follow gate it, build your following, collect emails, nurture
build
those
that
people.
Foundation.
Yeah, and do a couple releases like that a year.
Yeah,
just keep growing that.
Absolutely. Patience, persistency, and consistency always win in the music world.
Yeah.
What are some things you've been doing this year during COVID? There's been a lot of downtime. Are there any skills you've picked up this year, or things like, hey, I'm going to work and get better at this?
Skateboarding. Got back on the skateboard.
Nice. Okay, so that's where you're out in your free time.
Gonna put a half pipe in the backyard.
Oh, okay. So you're all in on it. Shoot, I hosted Nigel Houston at Decadence this year, and I got to hang out with him and his group, and that was pretty cool. And seeing him skateboard around the festival was fun.
Yeah, he's an EDM fan. He's been to BaseCamp a couple times.
Yeah, he's a big EDM fan.
But yeah, so skateboarding, more reading. Reading a lot about my craft. I also have been just going back through courses for that.
I love this. What are some book recommendations you want to throw out to the audience out there for the people who are readers and want to learn?
Oh, so for personality wise, Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins.
David Goggins. I have 2 friends who just finished that. My roommate actually is reading it currently.
Yeah, that one's good for mental mindset. I like Hacking Growth for marketing. That's about the founding of PayPal and how they give you $5 to sign up if you refer a friend type of thing, and just how to get explosive growth.
Mm-hmm.
Trust Me, I'm Lying, Ryan Holiday.
I love that title. I actually haven't heard of that one. I've heard of the other 2.
That's the guy who, if you know who Tucker Max is, I hope you serve beer cold in hell. So that's about how he blew him up. He spray painted a billboard in LA, and it got national media attention because he faced a billboard, and that's how that book blew up.
Steve-O duct taped himself to a billboard the other week to promote his YouTube movie, which was pretty funny.
That was pretty amazing. And then we got all the YouTube influencers out there. I saw David Dobrik was there.
So they all went and said what up to him. Like, I just, there's nothing better than watching someone pull off just a well-executed marketing idea that no one else has done, and something so simple, and going, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, I mean, the extremist people that are really good at it, Steve-O, Richard Branson, he used to, hang from hot air balloons and whatnot. Steve Aoki's dad.
Mm-hmm.
If you just do really cool stuff, people write about it. Put your life in danger a few times and you'll be national news.
That's all you gotta do. Any artists out there, just go do something crazy. I'm still waiting for the first artist to try and throw a backflip off the decks, off the deck tables, and I'm like, why has no one done that? That shit would make headlines the next day. I was talking to Gasly about that sometime back. I'm like, David, you should try that, man.
Yeah. I mean, some artists that have done some cool things are what? Sudden Death flew. Yeah. Joyride had the rotating Murcielagos.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a few people that just have their own productions. Excision has a really cool production. Feed Me has a few really cool productions.
What makes you different?
Yeah. But also, there's a lot of work to get that big. Those guys are all massive. So those things aren't cheap.
I want to touch on just one more piece of advice, really picking your brain here before we let you go. What are some mindsets you can give to people like, hey, we're in a really tough time in the music world. What's what would you say is your mindset moving forward, or what would you encourage someone to get their mindset on a level of thinking moving forward as we face so much uncertainty in our industry?
So really kind of like situations like this is where you see change, and like this is where you get like a really big catalyst for the next big idea. Start trying those ideas. If you fail, at least you tried. A lot of people don't even start.
Ain't that the truth?
Don't accept the failure. Rework. Keep trying. You'll figure it out. And it's a good time. You no longer have to sit in rush hour traffic. You have free time at home. Invest in yourself. Launch products. Lean into the economy. The people that find a way now are the ones that end up being bigger later on.
Absolutely. That's what I always tell everyone. I said the world is in no shortage of problems right now. And with those problems comes opportunity, because if you're able to solve a lot of these problems we're facing, that's where the opportunity lies.
Yeah, that's you either need to solve problems or make people feel something. That's really what you're searching for right now. What can you do that solves a problem? What can you do that can bring happiness?
Yeah, absolutely. It always starts with what you can give to someone else, and that's what creates that long-term return coming back.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cody Harvey. Cody, thank you so much for just sharing your story, your insight, your knowledge, all the different things you're working on. I really think some viewers are going to get some just really great insight out of this, and hopefully they can go apply it to some of the things they're working on, and even just some inspiration. Seeing, hey, I didn't really, I came out of real estate, I came out something different. I put my head down, and with enough persistency, I was able to figure it out.
Yeah, if anyone ever has any questions, wants to just talk or figure something out, hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/CT Harvey. We'll try to answer as many people as I can.
That's how we met.
Yep. All right, Jason.
Cody, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us, coming on and joining us. To everyone else, thank you so much for tuning into the Launchpad again. I'm Jason Euler, co-founder of Lvnding, and we will see you the next time. Thank you so much.